Hey guys, catching Roland Martin. He's doing he did an interview with Philip Rucker and Carol Leonnig. They're writing a book. They've written a book. Excuse me. I Alone Can Fix It. Donald Trump's catastrophic final year, and they previously released a book. I forgot the other one here. I can't find the other one. I've known about them from MSNBC and stuff like that. I love it that Roland's able to maybe expand out a little bit than just the black stuff. I get it. He has that's his audience. You gotta know your audience as a content creator. I get it. And that's it. That's where it's at. It's not a Marxist view. It's none of that stuff. It's a pro-black view. So Roland was talking about how he went into talking about how it was a poll done during Trump's administration saying that white people were the only group that felt as though America's going in the wrong direction. And also, there's also been stuff showing that white people's demographics are messed up, that they're the only group that's really not, they're stagnating. They're stagnating. You understand? There's less of them being born than it's dying. You know what that means? They went into talking about how Trump basically sent a message to Republicans that being reckless and irresponsible is okay. I'm so sorry. That no consequences will take place for wrongdoing, and basically that Trump could have been reelected if he handled COVID well. That the economy was doing well, and that people wouldn't even care if the economics had been affected. He would have been reelected. I think that's true. I thought about something that they're killing their own base. Let me add this in here. We know these states: Florida, Texas, Kentucky, Georgia. I don't think Georgia is hit really bad. Mississippi, Mississippi, Florida, and Texas. Not very Republican. Kentucky, they're very Republican. They're killing their own base off. They're fighting. It's like Hitler almost. You're fighting for the idea of Germany and not Germany itself. And then when it fails, you're like, well, you guys are weak. You deserve it. That's Nazi. That's fascist. You're not really fighting for your people. You're fighting for an idealized notion of your people, what these states should be, not what they are. And you can't do that. If nothing else, my videos should be about accepting people and communities for who and what they are. And we should figure out a way to better serve these communities and not judging them and allowing stigma and allowing our preconceived notions to get in the way of doing what's right, to get in the way of a robust sense of the public good, as Professor Eddie Glaude puts it. I like that. I think that Trump really did damage the Republican Party. I think the Republican Party is very radical. But what I didn't like, I'm going to end it here. I'm sorry. Everybody's running the Rumble Street. I'm sorry. I apologize. What I didn't like about that conversation is that Roland talks as though this is something new. That the Republican Party hasn't always been this way. That there somehow has been some shift. Trump is just... Republican Party's been a Looney Tunes trope for a while. And Trump is just a Looney Tune that's able to crawl to the front and elbow the driver out the way. So the police have stopped the van and they got that guy out of the front seat. It's still a Looney Tunes van. And we shouldn't forget that. I don't like this idea. See, they're talking as though, Trump's comments. I didn't mind. I thought Trump's tweets were funny. A lot of them. Hamburger and Kofifi and look, I'm nobody. I'm just a guy that took a couple semesters in college. I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy that took a few classes, class in English, and I know you are what you write. And the fact that the president was, that's what the rednecks like. That's what they wanted. They wanted an idiot. They wanted a fool. They wanted somebody who was uneducated, who was ignorant, and who was going to harken back to these olden times of days gone by and the 50s and all this stuff. And I've talked about it before, how we know now the technologies that got you to the 50s are bad for human health. So when someone says make America great again, you're talking about ignoring proven empirical evidence, whether it be leaded gasoline, DDT, asbestos, the many other things that we know now. Silent Spring, that was a paper written during the John Kennedy administration. They called that woman a communist. All these things talking about pollution and how it would kill off animals and stuff. Now we know more about these chemicals. So when you talk about going back to coal mining, we didn't know about what these things done to public health. We didn't know back then. So anyone that's saying let's go back to that is willfully being ignorant of science, of basic agreed upon science. We know leaded gasoline can cause insanity, and it did. People that were in factories and stuff like that, and we know, and people think now that that's why the crime was going down in the 2000s. That there was a low level of lead in the environment, and that has started to level off over the years. I think that honestly, I think that the problem with that interview is that America's never been the West Wing. It's always been this way. Trump was just the person that took it all the way and didn't really care about consequences. And I think there's there's a cost. The cost now, but there's a long-term cost of dividing the party. Of, do you kill off all these old Republicans just to look like a big tough guy? Or do you eventually act presidential or act reasonable, as a Republican, and say, all right, get the shot, wear the mask, hey guys, we gotta do, what do you do? These states are killing off their own base. I just think that, I think long-term Trump caused some severe, and let me end it with this. I think that this whole thing about the masks and the vaccines and all this, these are indicative of larger divides in our country. Indicative of much larger. It's like erosion, these cracks on the beaches, and you see like cracks in the road and stuff, and the water and shit gets in there, and it expands the cracks over time, as well as road traffic and all that stuff. I think Trump was that water getting in the cracks. But you've had this erosion of science. You had this mockery of public health for a very long time. And I think to just simply make this about Trump and make this about racism, I think that is that's no bueno. I think that's no good. That's not legitimate. That's not. They ain't gonna cut it, Chief. This situation and the fact that people can't get the fact you're gonna have to wear masks and things like that for a long term. The fact that people, and I'm not talking about these dumbasses, this mockery of public health is a big problem. This nihilistic ideology is a big problem. It's not a black issue or a white issue. It's a problem that has pervaded our institutions of anti-intellectualism, and I just don't think that Trump created that. And I think that anyone that's putting that notion out there is not quite being fair long term. I don't know. Leave your comments, whatever you want below. But I just think that Trump was more of a reminder and a breaking open of the divides in America between public health and science and the proper functioning of government and nepotism and war and America being in an empire. I think that Trump opened it when Trump talked about, yeah, take the oil. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. When Trump was talking about good genes, what the fuck did he keep talking about? Good genes. Hello, somebody. I think that this is about more than just Trump or his administration. This is about a country that's grappling with what the very definition of what it means to be an American and where America goes next. Thank you for listening.